Build it right, be safe, be competent. Some people like these. They're slightly better than what I did over 60 years ago. T-post did not exist. Post, round post. Drove them with an 18-pound wooden post maul in the ground. That's what they looked like when I removed them 10 years ago, and these were in the grounds for 50 years. On the brooder house, same poles. Day late, dollar short. The ground was already, after the first hard frost, had 63 holes to drill. I tried digging them to start with. That's when I learned to, of course this is taken out of the brooder house. There was the headers, the knee braces. So what happened was, I showed up, piece of clamshells. Everybody told me it was the way to dig. Well, I guarantee you it's not the way to dig. Because what happens is, it does not dig. It's only good for cleaning a hole. So what I tried next? Something with a handle I couldn't break. So now, the reason why this works considerably better than this. There's got two edges that's got to penetrate the ground. This only got one edge, and you can sharpen it like crazy. Well, the ground's so hard, you move up. Move up to a semi-rock bar. You can see, you just don't dig with one of those. So what happens is, you turn it over, got a point on one end for the rock. That's better. Now, the ground's frozen a little bit on top. You broke through. Need you to show what a clamshell's good for. Here's what a clamshell's good for. It cleans the hole, but it does not dig. Now that you brush the frost line, here's where this shovel comes in again. She just needs to show you how it works. Once you do that, use leverage. You pick up the clamshells again. Every time you use the trench spade, they got different names for it. I call it a trench spade. You gain about 1.5 inches is all you gain. If you hit a rock, you can hear it hit the rocks. So, now you can see why I dig the holes. 63 to be exact. Right here in this yard where I live, you hit hard pan at about 18 inches. When I say hard pan, you get the biggest, best digging tool you can. I've got some like this, only 2 feet longer. You dig down into the rock pan and set your post if you can. Otherwise, you did like I did before. I drove all those posts for a pole barn. They had 60 years. In all those years that I worked on the farm, sometimes I had as many as 60,000 birds on the farm at one time. I free-ranged them, bronze. I used these. I had to make 12 to 15 acre pens every 10 to 14 days to free-range the birds through the entire 240 acres that I had cleared. I drove them by hand, fence, 15 acres roughly, no more than 2 weeks at a time. So this here, it would have speeded it up a little bit building those 15 acre pens. Then years later, the people who took over the farm, they did drive T-posts. But for me, as you see, those posts that went in that brooder house, other films, and even to the modern day, I'll show you other projects around the place. I never set a post in concrete. The only thing I ever set a post in concrete wasn't one of these critters. It was posts for chain link fence. If you got a pipe, you can put chain link fence in there. But if you're just doing other fencing projects around your house, this works fine. This one right here, you can barely see the ears on the ground right here. It's down to the hard pan. I just hit it 3 licks or so. It didn't gain a 1/4 of an inch. If the ground is hard, so what happens is, once you evaluate it, you know where you are, you know which part of the county you live in, whether it be Hickory County, Camden County, Greene County, Douglas County. The soil varies a little bit, but almost all of those counties I mentioned, hard pan was less than 2 feet down. An auger on my tractor did not help. It'd get down to the hard pan and stop. The gentleman that bought the farm, he insisted he wanted me to build a fence. I worked on it. 3 days later, I didn't have 4 posts in the ground to his specification. So he rented a line truck like the utility companies come out and drill the holes for the utilities, telephone poles, electric poles. Out of the 42 that he dug for me on a 1-mile run, 4 of them, he got down on the limestone shelf and he couldn't dig me a hole 4 inches deep, and the back of the truck was off the ground. So what happens was, the gentleman bought the farm, come out with a big compressor, jackhammer. I jackhammered holes for down to his specs. Some of the ones that the line truck did was only 30 inches deep. He specified 36, so I meant a lot of holes I had to dig to 36, because what he wanted, every 60 feet, he wanted a treated 8-inch post, and we drove T-post on the rest of them and installed 5-strand barbed wire fence. Over the years, for him on the place, folks eventually had well over 640 acres. We fenced it, cross-fenced it or whatever, so in the ensuing 2 years, I built over 5 miles of fence for him. I didn't use one of these. We used pneumatic pile drivers to get them in the ground. If I happen to have a post like this right here, the pile driver got down on a limestone shelf. He'd come by there, I'd have a post that much longer than the rest of them. He didn't like it. So in his absence, I did my number, cut off all the top ones and spray painted the top again white to make it to his specification. He was that critical about everything being perfect, perfect. Well, when I left the place, if I was rented equipment to run underground water lines, he specified 3 feet. If it took you an hour and a half and choked the life out of the trencher, you kept at it or you went and got the rock bar. So in order to run underground water lines for him, a half day took 3. My take on the whole thing, if it's wood, do not put it in concrete. Concrete's made up with cement, aggregate, and sand, and Portland cement. These posts like you see right here, that was part of this is one of the 63 posts that was in the ground for the brooder house. The ground didn't hold the post up because some of them went in the ground 6-8 inches. That's where all these knee braces and the top here, it works like a pavilion on a concrete slab at a county fairgrounds park. The posts at those pavilions are not set in the ground. They're set on a concrete slab. Your knee braces do the work. What happens is, I'm digging here trying to locate an electric line that I buried 18, 20 years ago. Because once I start driving these things, we're making a new chicken runs for the chicken, for the coop. I need to make sure that I don't drive one of these into the electrical line that I buried many years ago. So, I got my work cut out for me. I got the tools to do the job. You have a beautiful day. And remember, a round post like this lasts for decades. Never put a square post, whether it be a 4x4 or a 6x6 in the ground unless you absolutely have to for beautification. What happens is on a post, I'll show you on the bottom of this because I cut it off. You want to leave all of the bark, everything on there. They peel this one here. If this is in the center, which is basically what you want, long life. If it's square or whatever, it dries real fast right here, doesn't dry there. You're opening yourself to big splits, twist, and your post is not straight anymore. So if you're into putting wooden posts in the ground, you go to Tractor Supply, you buy wooden post that's round. Here again, have a good day. Tune me in and subscribe, please.